Are your worms cooking in the hot summer heat? Well, we're going to show you how to keep your worms cool in the summertime. And it starts with the heat of the fire, and then to cool it off, you would think to put some nice cold water on it. But in reality, the cold water, or hot water for that matter, is going to create a thermophilic process in the compost pile or your worm bin, and then in return it's going to create heat, and the heat happens when the microbes get ramped up with the water. So you do want to run your bins a little on the drier side. So what we're going to do now is show you a good feeding for the summertime, and to avoid the overwatering, you just add some wet food. Now I ain't talking about macaroni, I'm talking about like mangoes and watermelons, and that's going to go into the compost bin, and it'll keep the worms fed, and at the same time, when the water releases, it will heat up a little bit. But what we do to counteract the heat from the wet food is going to be add ice cubes. And we add ice cubes to the worm bin to just to cool them off and to make sure that they don't go above that 90-degree threshold. And the only way to kill your worms for sure that I've seen is to dehydrate them and to let them go above 90 degrees or below 32 degrees. So by doing this, we kind of have it both ways, where they stay wet but not too hot, and then you also get the water to release in the ice cubes. And then we hit it with a little bit of worm chow just to make sure that there's not too much moisture released through the wet food scraps. So once we get the worm chow on there, we then hit it with some unsulfured molasses, and this is going to increase the microbes as well and give the worms a nice tasty sweet treat of some watermelon and mangoes. And it'll also drop the temperatures down for what I believe is probably the best feeding I've ever done for my worms. And we gave them a brand new mango just to try to treat the worms in the summer heat, because if I was out there, I'd want a fresh mango too. So then also stuff like a whole watermelon would be fine. Just be careful burying it, because that's going to heat it up. Maybe just put it on top. And so it is the summertime, and feeding on top without burying it may draw in pests. So if you do see pests, maybe just add some fresh bedding to the top of it. And that's going to keep the pests from actually getting to the food or smelling the food or even seeing the food. So we also add blended food scraps. Would be a good time to do that with some ice. And again, that's going to more to help with the pests, and that's going to be able so the worms can eat the food scraps before they're a problem. Also, you could put your worm bin underneath a nice shade tree. Right here's an oak tree, would be pretty good, and that way you keep it out of the sun and out of the elements, and when the leaves come in, they're nice and shaded. And in the wintertime, when the leaves fall off, they're getting some sun that they need in the cold. So also, we want to monitor the moisture, and like I said, you don't want to go too much water. So if you were doing a full canteen of water, maybe scale it back to a quarter canteen or something like that. Just kind of play with it, monitor the temperature. But if you overfeed and overwater in the summertime, you will get your compost over 90, and it will cook your worms. So try to remain calm and take the tips I gave you and try to make the most out of it, and to keep your worms happy and healthy, and to keep them making great worm castings for you. So with all that being said, you guys are legends for staying till the end, And I hope you enjoyed this one, and let me know what you guys want to see next in the comments down below. Thank you guys. See you next time.